Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? Welcome to the very first postgame show on Hogville Net YouTube. Alongside me, just like from the pregame show, Mr. Kevin McPherson. Kevin, so we'll just, besides our beards that we were just talking about before we went live, yours is growing out, mine's growing out. If we continue to do this, like you said, we win. We're undefeated. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, it might be a forfeit. I think people start giving up and they don't even get in the arena at that point.
They're done. And
then we got to do something else, like a ZZ Top cover tour or something.
I don't have the ZZ Top black sunglasses, but I have my kids call it the drip. So that's what I call it.
Okay.
The drip.
See it.
All right, let's get right on into this. Arkansas wins this one against Valencia, 108-59. It was a little sloppy, but you know what? We don't have official stats, but regardless, Arkansas won pretty big. What were your first takeaways?
Well, several things. I mentioned in our pregame and talking about it for a while, I thought that this team is designed to be really good in transition, and we saw that today. 17 dunks. Now, some of those were in half court. But when you've got playmakers like Nick Smith Jr., who, by the way, we speculated when we were getting started, when we saw that starting lineup, he wasn't in it. I felt like he was going to play. He did. When he checked in, he knocks down two of his first three-pointers. Arkansas gets on a run, 10-0 to open the game. He comes in. Arkansas runs that out to 50-20 early second quarter. But I thought it was transition offense. I expected to see a lot of that. I thought, when you look at it, holding a team to 59 points, in 40 minutes, keeping them under 60. You can look at that and say, well, the defense did its job. Eric Musselman, post-game, Nick Smith Jr. talked about it. Trevon Brazile, the big man, talked about it. They didn't feel like the team was disciplined on defense. Gambled a lot, got out of position. But we talked so much about that collective size, length, and athleticism now. And so what happens is you can have some busted assignments, and you've got a guy on the back line helping. You can recover. You can get out of your area. So Arkansas, I thought, was still stingy on defense, even if it didn't play a smart defensive game. Anytime you hold it in a game like that, getting up and down, if you got 10-minute, 10-minute quarters, 40-minute game, and you hold the opponent under 60, I think that says a lot. And look, Arkansas, 17 dunks unofficially. Multiple players had multiple dunks. We've heard so much about Ricky Council, Trevon Brazile, Jordan Walsh, Anthony Black at 6'8", his athleticism. We saw all those guys get multiple dunks in this game, and some of them were, kind of jaw-dropping. Nick Smith Jr. in transition. I thought Nick, he had a few turnovers, but I thought from a facilitating standpoint and scoring standpoint, 17 points to lead the team, knocks down 3 threes. I think they had 5 overall. So, you kind of expect that kind of production from him. Mm-hmm. And then the passing and assisting, I thought he and Anthony Black, we need to look at those numbers and see what they are. I had Smith with around 7 assists, and I had Black approaching 10 if he didn't get there and cross it. But those guys were, like I said, they were setting guys up both in transition, primary, secondary, half court. I thought what we saw in spurts from the front line, guys like Trevon Brazile, who came out, with a point to make in that third quarter. I think he did the bulk of his 12-point scoring in that third quarter. I think he had the first 8 there. Kamani Johnson, we know he's a blue-collar guy. He probably approached a double-double. I know he had 12 points and did that. He's really good on the offensive glass. An under-the-rim player, we keep talking about all this length and athleticism. This returning guy is a high-volume rebounder, especially on the offensive glass. So however you get it done, you get it done. I thought Ricky Council showed us, he hit a three-pointer, finished some nice drives going to the basket. That's been really his strength. And then, some of the dunks. But he had a second quarter. I thought he scored, probably 7 of his 11 points in that second quarter. And Arkansas just kept finding different ways and different pieces to go on runs. Jordan Walsh with a big first half, 9 points. Showed us his athleticism, finishing above the rim. He hit a 3 at the end of a shot clock at a time when the other team was on a run. Musk got a technical foul at the end of the second quarter. You're up 20+. The other team's putting together a run. I think Walsh was Arkansas's only spark in there. But just kind of looking around the board, Barry Dunning Jr., Musselman's been talking about him. He had a nice game. I think 10 points he finished with. we see him, some of the work he did around the basket, play with confidence. We saw the Mitchell twins give Arkansas some good, some different looks offensively and defensively in terms of their physicality and sort of playing with a snarl. I thought both of those guys picked up some fouls just trying to be physical, but did some good things. And then, Jalen Graham with some stickbacks and some work that he did. I thought he had a good third and fourth quarter. So, you look across the board, Arkansas really, when you look at the 3 5-stars, there were times all of those guys, to me, Ty, flashed that NBA lottery potential. And then I thought the front line and some of the other wing players, Devo Davis, haven't mentioned him, did a lot of good things in this game.
Something that kind of stood out to me too was just they didn't. This felt like a regular season game outside of the substitutions that were a little wild. I mean, that's to be expected. Again, you and I talked about that the last time we talked, and then on the pregame show that we expected the rotation to be a little wild. Kamani Johnson, you're right. Kamani Johnson stood out. I think he ended up. Did you say, was it 13 points? Is what Kamani ended up with?
Yeah, the unofficial tally was 12, so we'll have to see if that gets updated.
And you said they had counted 13 turnovers for Arkansas, or no, 11. It was
11 turnovers, yeah. And I'm guessing they've had at least, they had to have at least 20. I'm going to say 20 to 25 assists, and I think Nick Smith Jr. and Anthony Black, were probably pushing the envelope between 15 to 20 between them. And other guys passed the ball. So, I think the big thing when we look at, I think some of the negatives on offense, maybe they only made 5 3-pointers. I know Walsh, Council each hit one. Nick had 3 to lead the team. I'm not sure if anybody else knocked down a 3. You want to see improvement. You want to see more volume there from a team to show that perimeter versatility, because what happens is you're an easy scout if teams know you just really don't want to take those threes because you're not good at it. And even though you're really long and athletic and have all these other traits going to the basket, it just makes it a little bit harder when you don't have that part of the game, especially the way the game's played now. The other thing is, I think when you talked about this felt like in ways a regular season game, in terms of Arkansas's energy and how hard they played, I've got to agree with that. They did not look like they were on vacation. They looked like they were there to take care of business, even though they made mistakes and gambled some on defense. I thought they, fouled some 3-point shooters. I thought they had opportunities to close defensive possessions with rebounds and kind of fumble it away. There were some turnover gaffes among those 11, if that's all it was. But overall, I thought the team played like it meant business. And, you just never know, because they're having fun over there too. So you just want to see that workman-like attitude. And I think that's a cornerstone of a Musselman coach team, is that they're going to come out and play hard. Arkansas did that. I mean, again, a 10-0 lead to start the game. That's how you want it to get off. Then you go up by 30 in the second quarter, 50 to 20. And your biggest lead is what it ended up being, 49 points and 108-59. So there's a lot of things to pay attention to here. And I thought one of the things I'm going to add to this, the times that Nick Smith and Anthony Black were on the court together, or Jordan Walsh, and when you saw a mix of those 5-stars, I thought that there were some very telling things about their elevated talent and just some of the things they can do that are a little bit different. I thought Trevon Brazile had stretches of showing some difference maker, some true difference maker. Ricky Council, some of these guys, to me, they show you flashes there of what an all-conference type player looks like because of some things they can do. So I think you get an idea of guys that are going to be in that rotation. And we've been saying it, and we've been naming those names about top 7, top 8 rotation. They're going to be right in there. But until you see it translate and come together a little bit, you're just talking about it. Now we've seen enough kind of back up the talking points. Yeah.
Well, and we talked about earlier, we're going to get into all the players. That was something that you and I discussed. We wanted to get into more of the players. We weren't able to do that before this game, but since we're here, I want to know, I saw Pinion's assist that he had. I think he only had, I want to say he had at least 1 or 2, and he did just this kind of pistol Pete kind of behind the back pass. I was curious what you thought of his play.
Yeah, I mean, Pinion did some good things. He got the start. He got rewarded with a start. 12 players scored. I think he was the one that didn't get in the scoring column, but he did, he had some nice passes. I thought I thought everybody, Darian Ford came in when in that second quarter, and I thought he had a nice drive and pass. I think it was Kamani Johnson. He basically created a shot for him at the rim with no contest. So the freshmen all pitched in with some solid play and team play. Pinnion's always been a really good passer. I've talked about that. Shooting's what everybody likes to talk about and zero in on with him. But he's a guy that's always made the hockey assist or find guy in transition. It's not all about him and him looking to get points. And so, again, when I really kind of look at some of these younger guys, we don't know where their opportunities are going to come in the regular season, if or when they will. But these are opportunities right now, to show the coaching staff what you're capable of doing when given the opportunity. And so they're going to get opportunities. We saw it today. All 13 on scholarship played.
What did you think in the second? Those guys switched to a zone, and Arkansas, they started out like 1 for 8 on the offensive end of the floor against their zone.
Yeah, that was the one stretch where the other team, they closed the first half within a modest 11-8 run. Arkansas was well ahead there, but and Musselman got frustrated, got teed up. But you're right, the zone defense. Yeah, he got teed up over there. The zone defense gave Arkansas trouble. When you're not comfortable shooting the three, and you've got guys looking to attack, which is a strength. But sometimes the defense playing off of you, giving up that 3-point shot, they're waiting on those drives. They're clogging things up. And so sometimes you want to see that inside out. Yeah, if you're going to drive, kick it out. You got to have guys ready to shoot. And so I think Arkansas, if I had to take, one big takeaway from today is probably that this team does not look like it's much more comfortable yet shooting from distance or taking shots sometimes. Some guys are comfortable taking them, some aren't. And so who's on the floor? Who's ready to do that? And when a team goes to a zone like that and you see those struggles, it's definitely a question mark moving forward, because it's not a harbinger of necessarily of things that are going to continue. Yeah. But it does bring up that point, and I'm glad you brought up the zone defense struggle, because I really think the lack of shooting and confidence to take a shot or get into spots where you got open shots, I thought that was problematic for Arkansas on that stretch.
Well, and you mentioned their hesitation to shoot a little bit from the outside. Ash CFB says in chat, we got some open looks, but it seems like they hesitated to shoot, especially when they went against the zone. So the very thing that you and I are talking about, that they struggled a little bit there. You think that's something that they'll get a chance to clean up? Actually, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a same look offensively next week, or do you think they're going to try and push some more outside shooting?
Well, we'll see. A lot of it has to do too with what the defense is doing. If they're playing in 2 days, day after tomorrow, game 2 in Barcelona. So if the opponent decides to zone it up and dare them to shoot, they're going to have to. They're going to have to take some of those shots and opportunities, because they've got to be multiple in how they attack. Last year's team never quite figured it out, and they were just so blue collar, scrappy, getting to the free throw line, manufacturing offense any way that it could, because it wasn't a good 3-point shooting team. We don't know that it won't play out similarly here. I like this team better than last year's team in terms of above the rim and transition, because that can be some really easy offense. I think last year's team didn't have it easy much at all offensively. But this team could some, but it'll be even easier and better and more difficult to defend if they can, be better from the 3 line than they were a year ago. I said earlier multiple times, when you're ranked in the 300s and 3-point shooting like Arkansas was last year, it doesn't seem like it could get worse and should get better. Today, you see 5 makes throughout the game, and Arkansas didn't take a ton of threes, but it does continue to make you wonder, will this team, consistently do more in a production standpoint? Then you always are looking at that efficiency as well from distance.
Yeah. Let's hope they can open that up a little. I would love for them, these next 3 games. By the way, 1:30 is the 11th. That's when Arkansas plays next on the 11th. And again, first off, Hogville.net, Kevin McPherson's got you covered over there. Everything's 100% free, as we like to remind you. next game, I know we put out a promotion saying that game would be post game only, but we got, schedules kind of got mixed up with Razorback football. They're going full pads. I'm going to be there for that. But we're definitely going to do pregame because these games are very important, and I want to make sure we have the coverage. And Kevin is doing a great job. If you guys haven't already, go read his article. I will post it down below in the it used to be known as the description box. Now you just tap that little more button. I will drop that link for you for Kevin's article. And I'll do the same when I have Otis on as well. I'll make sure I get their latest stuff out and available for you for free. Nick Smith, I know someone's going to ask. I'm actually kind of surprised no one's asked about Nick Smith. He did lead in scoring, which was 17 points. What was and I know we've kind of touched on him a little bit, but is there any deeper thoughts on him, maybe just how he looked? You said he also played pretty well above the rim. I mean, everybody did. Maybe outside opinion and maybe a couple others, but just a deeper analysis of what you thought of Nick Smith, the guy that everyone wants to talk about.
Well, he scored at all three levels, and his instincts as a passer, as a playmaker for others, are on another level. So I think when you combine the alpha scoring ability, mentality, and some of his gifts in setting the table for others, it makes him a weapon on offense for multiple reasons. One is he can score in different ways. The other is he's got a confidence that in clutch situations, which we didn't see today because it was such a runaway early, but in clutch situations, he's a go-to guy. And I think also not only just the plays he makes to finish plays, but I think when the offense is running and the ball's in his hands, defenses are off balance trying to figure out what he might do, cheat a little bit to cut off if he drives, and now someone else is open. So even before he finishes the play, he's already making problems for a defense because what he might do. And so I think on multiple levels, Nick Smith Jr. is an offensive force. And we saw that today. He checks in and immediately things start happening. They were already happening, but they were starting to happen because of Nick Smith. And then I think you add Anthony Black in the backcourt with him. A lot of subbing in and out today, a lot of different looks. At some point, that's going to settle in, and I think we're going to see a lot of Nick and Anthony together, AB. And I think that elevates both of those guys. We saw Nick today in catch and shoot, benefiting off of some of Anthony Black's ball movement and passing. We saw Nick, dunk. We saw him score in the mid-range. We saw him drive all the way to the basket. So, these are the things I expected to see. We weren't sure he was going to play. I felt like he was. But this is a really nice performance from those standpoints. Defensively, he made some plays. I thought, he's going to be a work in progress defensively. I thought a little careless with the ball at times. I thought he tried to do a couple of things that weren't there, things he thought he saw and that didn't materialize, and it ended up being a turnover. And those are things I think this guy's coachable. He's serious about winning, and he's going to fix and he's going to self-correct as things go. He's not going to be perfect out of the gates. So the good things we saw are probably only going to get better. The things that were maybe like the turnovers are also going to get better. So you're going to see the negatives go in the direction that's good. You'll see the positives go in a direction that's good. And all that stuff comes together for winning. And I think this guy is a winner. And I think Arkansas will win in large part due to what Nick Smith brings to the table.
You got a chance. Muss did talk with the media after the game. It took a little while, but you were able to sit in on it and listen. Did he talk about his T that he got, or I guess they called a C? I don't really understand that. Did he talk about that at all?
He did. He made a little joke about it. I think he said his whatever started that situation. He said it started in English and he finished it in Spanish. So I'm not. And that's, look, the Muss Bus, there's going to be some colorful language sometimes on that bus. That's just what it is. Look, Musselman, he'll get some technicals now, and he's a fiery guy. He's competitive. When things aren't going well, I'm not sure if he's really mad at the refs or his team or a combination of both. But sometimes you go out there and you go out on that limb and you take that tee. And he did it. And it was a tough stretch right there. It was when that team, when Valencia was playing in that zone. They were on that run.
Yeah.
And, really, the one thing I really liked about that one offensive possession in that stretch was when things broke down, Walsh was trying to finish around the basket, scrapping, kind of got body checked, might have gotten fouled, but he took the ball out, backed it out, got to the corner, and rose up, had the presence of mind to know the shot clock was running down, and just rose up and splashed that three-pointer. That was Arkansas's only points in that stretch when the other team had scored a few.
Yeah.
And so, Arkansas was probably not in a place to feel threatened in any stage of this game, but still you like to see that kind of response. So kudos to Jordan Walsh. Maybe not as much talked about at that portion of the game because Muss is T, but I definitely want to give a shout out to Jordan for that big play.
Oh yeah. It got kind of physical for a little bit. I think it was number 7 for them. That dude, I think it was either with Kamani. I think it was either Kamani or I don't remember who the Razorback player was, but he definitely looked like a little bit of a body check, and he got a little upset. Whoever the Razorback was, you could tell he was a little upset with their.
Well, you don't need a translator to know. You can look right at Kamani and figure out it. You probably don't want to pick on him.
That's a big dude.
That may not be a good idea. The other thing I wrote about in my preview for this event, for the 4-game, just kind of an overall, was talking about the FIBA rules, but also officiating. And 2 of the things, the traveling violation is something that players from the United States have a trouble adjusting to often. But I thought today, one of the things I talked about was the physicality and how fouls are called. And I thought, Arkansas, you saw the Mitchell twins try to send some messages, and the refs came right back with whistles. Yeah. And I think Arkansas maybe learned some things from this game to take it forward in terms of some of the fouls they picked up. There were some cheap ones there, some fouling on 3-point shooters as well. Yeah. I know Musman won't be happy about that, and we'll see, because you can only adjust so much. At the end of the day, and a former Hog recently told me the refs over there don't want American teams to win. And he has experience with it, but he told me that he didn't want to be quoted on it. I won't use all the language, but I will say some of it was in Spanish as well. But I will say that Arkansas may or may not adjust to it. But if the competition is at the level of what we saw today throughout, Arkansas is going to win a lot of games by a lot of points, at least 4.
Yeah. Yeah. We got some comments, people talking about, and I am going to do my best chat to keep up with you guys while also dealing with a spammer in our chat. But we've got folks talking a lot about Brazil. Just excited to see him. Of course, he had the dunk. I mean, they all had a dunk, but his was really nice. So Brazil getting a lot of love in our chat.
Ty, how about the way he started that third quarter? I think he scored Arkansas's first 8 points. I think the final 2 of that little run was just that leaning Superman. I mean, those strides, man, it was just, you putting together 6'10" with 7'3", 7'4" wingspan, athleticism on top of that. But in that stretch, he was getting offensive rebounds. He got a block shot, and he was just so active at both ends. And I thought, he gave us a glimpse of what he can really be, because there's so many players on this team that were given glimpses and flashes. But everybody played, so you're not, once that rotation starts to tighten up and guys aren't just checking in and out, we're going to see more consistency from guys. But that stretch, man, that was as good a stretch as anyone had in that game. And Brazil showed us all league potential with some of those things he did. And he didn't shoot the ball in this game. Everything was at the basket. He's a guy that can stretch the floor. He can move it out to 3. He's got a nice little mid-range package off the bounce. Things he can do, and I think we didn't see that yet. And so what we did see was, I'll say it like this, scary good. I mean, some of it was scary good. That dunk was, that's a SportsCenter top 10 maker right there. That was lovely.
That was a chef's kiss is what that was. And there's a couple of those. There were so many big plays, and yeah, we get it. They're not playing against, a team chock full of European NBA guys that play in the league. We get that, but they didn't play. They didn't play the toughest of the tough, but or the best of the best over there. But they certainly, Arkansas did a great job playing above the rim. You're exactly right. You brought that up multiple times. You're exactly right. I thought the defense was mostly good. I don't know where you were at with that, with their overall defensive play. That was actually going to be my next question.
Yeah.
How would you grade their defensive play? And again, I know the rotation's different. It's not going to be that way during the regular season. How would you grade how they played on the defensive side of the court?
If I'm doing a grade, probably a B-. I did think they gambled a lot. The other team couldn't convert and make them pay. Some open shots resulted from some gambles and getting out of position, some missed assignments. They couldn't knock down shots. Sometimes Arkansas ran close a little too hard on shooting, and guys stepped underneath that, couldn't finish. So some of the 59 points in 40 minutes is on Arkansas's good. Some of it's just not a very good opponent. But what I love about this team is because when we go back to the length, size, and athleticism, you can make mistakes and then still mask it and recover because maybe there's someone on the back line helping you after you made a mistake, or maybe you just get back in the play. And so I think Arkansas, from a certain standpoint, you've got to give them some credit for being stingy. I mean, this was an up and down game, and your opponent gets less than 60 points. And I keep saying that because, you basically beat them by 50. Yeah. Your defense did something right. The discipline side of those gambles and mistakes, that's going to be what Eric Melsman harps on, because he's not looking at the scoreboard. He's looking on ways to get better and what he sees, what wasn't working. He knows when his rotations are tighter that the performances will be tighter at some point. But at the same time, he wants everybody buying in, and he wants everybody, no matter who's out there, doing what he expects. And so I think there may be some more colorful language, that the players want to team up in the next 24 hours as they prepare for game 2.
Going back a little bit, we were talking about the fouling and Eric Musselman getting teed up and everything. What did you think of Devo's acting there towards the I think it was top of the 4th, I think, when he was giving us a little bit of the, hey, there was contact here, I want to sell that. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, Devo's got a personality, man. He's a fun guy. He's demonstrative sometimes on the basketball court, and I love his energy, and I think he's been a cog in the wheel for Arkansas's back-to-back Elite Eights. There's no doubt about it, and he's going to be important in what they do going forward. So he didn't get himself thrown out of the game. He didn't get himself in any trouble. So anything short of that he wants to do out there to have a little bit of fun and a runaway, I'm good with it. I like it. That's deep.
I loved it too, because the guys were loving it. The players on the bench were loving it. It was nothing wrong with a little camaraderie, especially when you got that big of a lead. Now, yeah, if it's a closer game and and if it's regular season, that's one thing. But I loved it. It was terrific. All right, let's see if we have anything else here really quick. Mus's defense is non-negotiable, says Brian Music. That's a good way of putting it. Ash, go ahead.
No, I was going to say he's right, but when I go back and look at the last 2 years when Arkansas was struggling, and including the defensive end, it's non-negotiable, but at some point, until guys start making adjustments or buying into roles, sometimes you just got to live with what it is, because you got to put somebody on the court. Yep. And I think the non-negotiable part comes when Muss gets to a point where he sees, okay, I'll tweak this, I'll change this part in the rotation. This is the group that's going to help me get off to a better start in games. It's going to help us mask some of our deficiencies, whether they're athletically or size-wise, on defense. And then he gets everyone to buy in. So at some point, he is absolutely 100% non-negotiable on defense. But there's a learning curve to get there, and I mentioned some of that. And I think with this team in Europe, we're going to probably still see some funk on the defensive end at times because everybody's playing. Or he'll get frustrated enough with it where we might see the rotation skinny down a little bit if he wants to prove a point to certain guys that maybe aren't doing what he wants done during this trip. But it's very interesting because the overall concept for me, for Musselman, the identity at Arkansas and the success has started on the defensive end. Those teams, the last 2 years, Kempom, top 10 in the country 2 years ago, number 11 last season. Yep. It's always on that end. We know how good they are at the free throw line, and that's also part of that blue-collar mindset, right? Because if you're not knocking down threes and doing other things, maybe in transition you'd like to do, you're finding ways to manufacture shots. You got to be hard hat wearing and crash in there and get to the rack, stick with it, be devoted to it. So that blue collar mindset on defense, I think, has helped Arkansas have other things fall into place, like getting the free throw line. So this team has so much talent and so much skill and this and that we're going to see things that sometimes fool us with, well, they can get by because they've got this, or they can get by because they'll, yeah, maybe, but Musman's going to demand performance, especially at some point on that defensive end where the rubber will meet the road, and some guys might find themselves out of the rotation if they don't buy in.
And that's coming from Kevin, and we know there's no one that knows it better than Kevin. The buy-in, I think, will be there. I'm with you too. What you said a little while back, you think there might be a little bit of a period of time, maybe January or so, when this team starts to gel, like we've seen before in the past, trying to get these guys put together and get a good product on the floor. But I would say that this today was overall definitely a fun day and a good day. Yeah, make sure you guys, thank you, T-Dub, for bringing that up. Make sure you guys like and share the content. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe as well to Hogville Net. We're going to be doing a lot of this, especially when we get closer to basketball season. Kevin and I are going to be teaming up quite a bit. I believe that's the plan. There's still some things in the works. Otis, of course, going to help us with football, and eventually I'm going to get Mr. Dudley Dawson on here too. So a lot of good stuff for you for free. And also go to hogville.net and you can read all their stuff. And once again, we have another spammer in here. Hang on just a second. I'm kind of doing it all. Don't have a producer. I'm doing it all. I'm handling chat, handling the spammers, and trying to formulate this thing with Kevin. Kevin, you were awesome today, my man. Pre-game and post-game show.
Come on, Ty. This is a tag team effort. We were. I don't know if I'm always on point, but working with you is very comfortable, and I very much enjoy it. I'm smiling a lot, man. I appreciate you.
We're good, man. That's the goal. Everyone just be comfortable, have fun. That's what we always do. That's what I used to do on the old post-game shows for Pig Trail Network, which is now Tuss Talk with Ty. I just want to have fun and make it comfortable for everybody. And I hope you guys in chat have enjoyed what we've brought to you as well. Again, if you have, make sure you like and subscribe and all that stuff, and go check out hogville.net. All right. Well, next time you'll see us will be on the 11th at, I'm thinking, 1:00 pregame show.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll have the latest for you there, and we'll talk even more about expectations and what we want to see from the Razorbacks. So, Alex Henderson says Kevin McPherson is the man for basketball. You're exactly right. You two together, love the coverage. Appreciate that, Mike Lane. We appreciate you guys. Love the content here. Just the beginning for Hogville. That's right. So much more to come. All right. Until the 11th, we'll see you guys around. Kevin, I'll see you then.
Good to be with you, Ty. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Woo pig.